we're down to the home stretch. We're gonna, in step number 9, we're gonna focus on the funnel. Now, if you remember back, I told you that the funnel was pretty much crap unless you had a specific transaction that you're moving people through. So in the case of the Google Merchandise Store, I'm really interested in their funnel, in their closing process. So how they get people from the shopping cart to the actual purchase. And so what you can do is you can do a structured path analysis. I mean, you find this under conversions, goals, and then funnel visualization. So basically the premise of this goes, and I should point it out here now that I have the screen up here, conversions, goals, and then funnel visualization. And this is the screen that you'll see. So the funnel, you know, it takes an enormous amount of effort to get them to our site, to give them the info, and then get them to buy. And so that's kind of this process, right? They put an item in their cart. And the funnel process is encouraging you to improve revenue day 1. And so this is something that I might go to because revenue, you know, cash is king. If this is an e-commerce site, okay, so this is an e-commerce site, this is definitely where I'd spend some time with my client to improve. So what we know is that a person who has made up their mind to buy, to put the product in the cart, and then abandons, it just kills you. It just rips your heart out. And what we do know is that there's about a 60 to 90% abandonment rate. And what we find is that if we can just improve that last steps, those last couple steps, that we can get astronomically bigger and better and make more revenue. And so the funnel, I can't emphasize this enough. It only applies when they can go from A to B to C. And I think we used an example earlier in the term of the credit card application. So that actually would apply here as well. But remember that unstructured path analysis is a waste of time, and you don't want to do that at all. The structured funnel visualization, structured path analysis is certainly worth it. So what does this show, and why do we care? We're looking for where the issues are. So again, 60 to 90% abandonment rate. I'm looking for anything, you know, where I can improve here. And so the opportunity exists to improve these web pages. And so right here, we know that only 46% of people moved on here. 47% of people moved on here. Then 77% moved on. And then we actually had quite a few move on from here to here, 94%. So right in these two realms is where I'd probably be focusing the majority of my attention, because I don't want these folks, now they're statistically average, but I'd be wanting to make modifications to try to increase this number, because what we do know is that if our average order value is $200 or so, $147, that being able to make minor tweaks and get a few more purchases to actually go to completion, if 60 to 90% of people are abandoning, and if we get, you know, even 1% of people to move forward, it's quite a bit of money. And so it's something that I might be looking at for my team to try to help them and move them through. I should also say that your funnel conversion rates are really going to depend on your business, and so it's really hard to determine, is 46% good, bad, ugly? You're going to want to benchmark this over time. But let's say your client doesn't even have a funnel. You're going to want to go to this website here, the zqi.me/GA funnel. It will tell you how to actually go through and sign up for a funnel, or walk through the steps and get your business set up with a funnel. One of the things that I posted here below this with a screenshot is this. This is where a lot of people are leaving. You know, so what's happening is that when you get to this is the process, the page that people are landing on. There's a lot of commitment here. They're signing with Google. You become a new customer. I have an account. Now you'll notice that a lot of people in merchandising stores will have check out as a guest, and they don't actually have that option. And so for a lot of people, this is a big turnoff, and this is something that maybe they would want to consider. So again, you're looking at the key points of failure in the conversion process, and you're going to want to come up with a couple of examples of fixes or test ideas that you might be able to do. So example one is, what happens if we added a checkout as guest? And again, you can experiment. We'll talk about that later in the term, how to set up an experiment, but you can experiment with that. And so you're asking yourself, what fixes would you make with the pages that are broken, and putting broken in quotes here. And you're going to look at the pages and the things that you would recommend, or tell them the things that you would recommend fixing or testing. And again, every issue that's reduced is revenue directly to the bottom line because they're already interested. They know what products they want. So we're not messing around at the very, 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 very top of the invisible funnel where we're just trying to get them to the site. They land on the site. Those are important too. But this is, you know, we're at the close. We're trying to close the deal. They're interested, and just making every tiny little thing help is going to certainly reap rewards. So step 10 is analyzing the unknown unknowns. And so one of the things I'm going to briefly talk about, because Google is actually taking this away, which I think it says up here at in the yellow here, it says that they're disappearing soon. Who knows what soon is? But I want to talk about this because it's a pretty cool feature. You can still do this through, I think, custom alerts, and we'll talk about that later in the term, how to set those up. But for now, it's still there, so we're going to talk about it. So we've done a lot of analysis based on what we found, but there's always a chance that we have no idea about something. So we don't know what we don't know. Of all these analysis, all of these analysis are going to help you find valuable insights from data, but there's things that we may be missing because we're not dealing in the business every day. And so you cannot be surprised about data from your client. You have to know this information. And so what Intelligence Events does is it mines trends and patterns. There's a sophisticated algorithm that controls limits and forecasting, and what it helps you do is surface anomalies in the data. And so you can see that it's doing that kind of in this realm here. And to find intelligence events, there's actually a whole category up here just called intelligence events. And I just opened up daily events, but you could do weekly events as well. And so you can set the alert sensitivity to low, to high. I think low is 7 standard deviations away from the norm. But what it does is it allows you to identify something that you didn't know and the client didn't know. And so this makes you, again, look really smart when you go to the client. You can also set, like I said, custom alerts. You can tell it to show me when traffic has increased by X%, and it will. You can have it email you an alert. It also obviously shows up in your Google Analytics dashboard. It's a fantastic way to look at changes, and we'll spend a little bit more time on this later in the term, especially since Google has announced that they're going to be taking away intelligence events. So for your notepad, and again, this is a pretty quick and dirty one here. For the notepad, you're going to want to be looking from the intelligence, until they take it away, the intelligence insights. You're going to want to look at things like visits and sources and conversions. Those are very custom reports, or they're custom standard data right there on the front page with a couple of clicks. There's no custom reports needed. You then might want to go deeper with one insight from an analysis. So I really want to look this anomaly here with sources. I want to go a little bit deeper and understand why. So I might go to the website that the source is being directed to, for example, and look at that actual web page. Or if it's a referral, I'm going to go to the referring site and look at that page. And so, all of a sudden here is 300% spike in traffic this week from this one particular referrer. I want to go see what's going on, who they are. Is this somebody I can partner with long term? And then you're going to come up with one question about a surprise that you don't understand. Okay, and so, here's something that's an anomaly that's happening, and you've racked your brain, you've used all the tools and resources you have, and you still can't figure it out. And so you want to jot that down, because asking questions is always a good option, especially when you don't know what you don't know. But the unknown unknowns are going to help you find blind spots, and it's also going to complement your own intelligence, because you're going to sit down and you're going to tell something that chances are the client has no idea is going on. So in summary, we went through 10 steps. Steps 1, 2, and 3 were very strategic. It helped us understand the site and marketing and visits. Steps 4 and 5 were very tactical. We fixed things. We entice users to data. Step 6, we're looking strategic again. This is focusing on the big picture of acquisition. 7, 8, 9, again, back to tactical. Reduce costs, increase revenue, and what's going on now. And step 10 just proves how smart you are at what you do. And so we also call this saving your hide. And so if you were sitting down and you only had an hour, I don't know why you would only have an hour, but let's say you only had an hour, you definitely have to do steps 1, 2, and 3. 4 to 10 and definitely 6 to 9, you really could mix and match and only choose a few of them. And 10, just like I said, saves your rear end. So I always like to do 10 if it's available to me. But again, all of them are valuable for you. And so if you can block out the time to do this, this is going to give you a pretty comprehensive analysis. Again, I can't emphasize this enough. These are what you do when you can't get information from your client. I use a lot of these before I go in for a new client meeting. Or again, if a client doesn't even know how to access Google Analytics, they just know they need to do something. So these would be the things that I would look at first.